Welcome everybody to our little gathering here. Sometimes connecting the dots, of course, can be a bit tricky. And we have a perfect story here to illustrate that fact, because Kathy, one of our community here, had a son that transitioned not so long ago. And Kathy has been doing a little bit of work to try and figure out how on earth she created that. And it's a very interesting story. So Kathy, can you share that with us?
Well, for one thing, I would keep asking questions of Tara and believing on one hand that I created all, but not seeing how I could have created that. Because I had been doing the visualization, I had been journaling, I had been resetting when I didn't feel good to feel better, either by distraction or just actually raising my hand and asking for help to feel better. And I thought that I had done everything that I was, quote, supposed to do, everything that I knew to do to change my life and what I wanted in my life. And then my son transitioned. And one night, after asking Tara, I was totally frustrated and angry because I didn't like their answers. And I was unsettled and couldn't rest and ready to give it up. And I went to bed and opened a Mike Dooley book. And in the book, I found this quote. If you are building all your hopes on happiness on the temple of another, you're actually shirking your responsibility to be happy by shifting it to the one you love. Living only to be with another person isn't an act of love. It's an act of fear, fear of life itself. And of course, that's from Mike Dooley. And it hit me. I had lived 25 years for another person and put all my hopes for the future and all my happiness in that one little basket. And when I lost that basket, I lost everything. But this quote helped me to look at it and realize that at the base of it was fear. Fear of losing, fear of not doing the right thing, fear of not doing enough, just fear of life itself. And it was very eye-opening.
Indeed. And thank you for sharing, Kathy. And we thought that that was a perfect opportunity to talk of that story. And it talks very graphically, does it not, of the difficulty sometimes it takes in trying to connect all the dots between how did I create that, what did I do there, and what's showing up here. And we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about that in some depth. And so let us move on here. Kathy's story is about her decisions and her life and her trying to find explanations for the way things work. So you are all in a game here, are you not? You are all in a game of life itself. You are all playing by the rules. And why would you choose to limit yourself down to this, if you like, three-dimensional reality and choose to abide by these restrictions, these rules? Well, the reason is because you cannot play the game without rules. And we have shown here a Monopoly board. And it is in this game that you may choose to play that the restrictions apply. So you can sit at this table, part of the rules, you have to stay there, and you play on this two-dimensional board. And there are things in this game, are there not, that cause variability. You throw those dice. If the game always went in the same sequence with the same number of throws each time, it would not be much of a game to play, would it not? There must be some variability. So what is the variability? Well, you throw the dice in this game. And also you are playing against other players, other consciousnesses, in our words, and they are making their own decisions about what they're going to do. Are they going to spend money, hard-earned cash here, in enhancing their property so that they can extract more money from those who land on that square? Or are they going to hold some in reserve in case they are required to pay out some money? So they are making all these choices. And that is another element of variability in this game. And why would you settle for these restrictions? You settle for these restrictions because you have a desire to have fun in this game. You have a desire to play it. You have a desire to revel in it. You have a desire to mix it up with your friends in this way. And so you make the decision and you play the game. And then perhaps you decide that it's time to get outside and do something different. And perhaps it is that you wish to think about playing tennis. And tennis is a different game, is it not? Tennis is a different game. Tennis is a game in which you play within a court, and you must stand in a certain place. You must hit the ball in a certain way. It is a more three-dimensional game, but it is a game. And once again, you accept the rules gladly because you want to play. It is fun. It is enjoyable. So it is with your game here, you see, on this earth. There is variability within this game. You have settled on the boundaries of things. You have settled on various shapes and sizes and definitions of everything, and we will talk some more about that. But you have done that because this is the game you chose to play. And like moving from Monopoly to playing tennis, you can make a choice to play a different game. And everything in between, if you will, because all of that is your choice. And so now we come to the subject of how did I create it all? Many of your questions take this form, and then the next question is, how do I change it? And that second question, of course, is where the rubber meets the road. But the first question comes from that desire that many of you have, like Kathy, to understand it all, to know the backstory about how it all works. So let's talk about that, and then we'll wend our way back to how to change it. Your world is defined, if you like, in a huge data store. We have called that data store by many names. We have called it your library of everything. And you can say every topic, every subject, every noun in your language has a book, and every verb in your language has a book. And that is your library about the world you live in. We have called it your vibrational set point. We've called it your vibrational soup. And through Rachel this week, we talked of it being a vibrational train on which you pick up carriages with each thought and you build your train. We've called it your world blueprint. We've called it your movie screenplay. And we have called it a tapestry of expectations. And so we will stick with the word tapestry today mostly as we talk about the way in which this definition of your world exists, where it exists. But it's that vast record of all those things you've ever chosen to believe. You see, it's in that tapestry that everything is defined. When you woke up this morning, the world was around you. It was not you rejoining a world that exists and everybody shares in. It was you creating around you this morning, instantly, without focus, without attention, and without effort. You created instantly around you, within the range of your senses, the illusion of reality, the illusion of a real solid world. And one of the things we would say about that, and we have been talking about that this week to some extent, one of the things we would say about that is that we do not wish to denigrate the game, to demote it in importance, simply because it is illusory. Whenever there are things in your game, they are as real as you are physically. And usually we do not have too much trouble persuading you that you are real physically. It is the status quo, isn't it? It is the natural thought. You bump your knee and it hurts. And so the reality of your physicality, of course, seems obvious. And so we say everything you create in your world is equally real. And even though you are creating it from that tapestry of expectations, it's as real as the physical you is real. So who is the you that made those choices? It is the consciousness that is hearing this. It is not the physical you, it is the thinking you. Is there any other consciousness or any other sort of entity or spiritual being that is making choices for you? No, it is you and you alone that defines everything. There is fundamentally no guardian angel with its hands on the controls. Although of course you can create one by choosing to believe in it and imagining it into beingness. And if you do, then that guardian angel is as real as you are. You see, there is no inherently right or wrong way to do all of this. There are just your choices and your way of doing it. So what does that data store define? It defines every single thing you ever experience. It defines all of your physical reality, your world and everything in it, including the physical you. It defines all of your non-physical reality, your vibrational world and everything about it. There is nothing or anything anywhere within your awareness that is not defined by that data store. We want you to really get this, and we challenge you right now to think of something that has not been designed by you. You see, it does not exist. It goes like this. You make a choice and you have an experience. From that experience comes a new desire and a new choice, and the cycle repeats. This has been your process. You could say it started before you were born, but even that is a choice, and therefore it's also part of your story. Even being born is a part of your story. You could say it's been a lifetime of iterations, minute by minute, month by month, decade by decade. Think of it in any way that appeals to you now. The only thing that is absolute in all of this is that all of it comes from your choices. So what's in your tapestry of choices? Well, firstly, look around you. What you see is what you've created. Those streets, those trees, those animals, cities, land and sea and air, the planets, the galaxy. Now, you didn't consciously plan all that detail, but you did decide what is and what isn't, and you also decided the boundaries around everything, the shape of things. What you know about trees, what you choose to believe about them, decides what trees will be like in your world. What you know about humans decides what humans will be like in your world. There's nothing that exists in your world that you haven't imagined into being. You decided the certainties, the probabilities, the possibilities, and impossibilities about everything. Secondly, what about things you can't see? Things that are not right now within the range of your senses? Well, pick a subject. Then ask yourself what you believe about it. What do you truly expect about it? Start looking at the detail of that part of the tapestry. You will know by how you feel whether this component of your creation is to your liking or not to your liking. If it feels good, allow yourself to revel in that. Go on a little mini rampage of appreciation. If it feels negative in any way, pick apart that tapestry a little in your mind and find the thread that needs replacing. Now the work begins. We have arrived at the fork in the road, the place where new decisions can lead you literally to a new version of your world. These forks are what you came for. These forks are where the juice is. You get to choose. Let's explore whether you're making some new choices and some techniques that you can use. And so here we are, at the fork in the road, making new choices. As we go through this exercise here, if you are in a position where you can take the time right now, we really recommend that you do so. There is no time like the present to begin this process. There is no time like the present, as we say, to set an intention to change something. So think, if you will, about one thing that you want to change. And here are some key steps that you can think of as major ingredients in your processes, your techniques here to change things. Firstly, make the first choice. Set an intention to change something. Something in that tapestry of yours. Secondly, be aware of how you feel about it. In other words, be honest with yourself. Allow yourself to discover through your feelings what you are in alignment with here. Next, go within and discover what you expect about it. In other words, ask yourself truly, what do I expect about this particular topic, this particular thing, this particular person, whatever. And now we come to the key steps. Visualize your world has changed. See it in your mind. As we often say, see yourself stepping through a doorway into a new version of the world, and it's a version of the world that does not have that negativeness that you are seeking to move away from. It has the things in it that you want. See those things in that world. Step through that door into that place. Look around you. Give yourself permission to be in that new version of the world. Give yourself permission to be there. Let that be your focus. And of course, when you have these ingredients and you have started to make them a practice, started to make them a habit, every time you experience something that you do not want, then we say repeat often. Repeat often. Because it's not what you do. What counts is where you hang out in your mind. What counts is what you think. Your thoughts are the power that can create galaxies. And we encourage you on this journey. So make a little pact with yourself here. Agree that you will, from this point forward, step into each day with a new determination to be in control, to feel the power that you have, to move into this place of creation. And of course, we are here to help you. We encourage you to find these techniques that have ingredients like this that allow you to, in your mind, create a new world and then step into it physically. Observe it around you. It is your world. We are complete.